everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to Paws On Animation.
In today's podcast, we're covering the Cartoon Network miniseries Over the Garden Wall.
Yes.
Long time coming.
Mm-hmm. And this show that now has a cult following follows two brothers, Wirt and
Greg,
who have mysteriously gotten lost in the woods. And they come across some very odd characters and villains as they try to find their way home.
Right. And before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, notification updates on future podcasts and on pause videos.
Absolutely. And we've watched this a couple of times. And we've been wanting to do this for October, Spooktober, and now we're finally doing it.
Right.
And I think the biggest standout about this particular miniseries is the ending. And if you haven't seen it, spoiler alert.
Right now, yeah, real early on.
Is the ending. Because what you thought this series was, it wasn't.
Yes.
It's
like
a Western version of Odd Taxi.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. Like, what? Mm-hmm. Okay, so for here, this miniseries premiered, I believe, in either 2014 or 2015. It was about the same time they had Long Live the Rose. It was two mini projects that were greenlit for Cartoon Network. Oh, I'm sorry, three with Apple and Onion. Now, Long Live the Rose got only one mini-series. Well, it was supposed to get more, but it seemed like no one really wanted to see more than just the first season. Mm-hmm. Apple and Onion seems to be canceled with no explanation. Over the Garden Wall was a planned and announced mini-series. It's 10 episodes or chapters, and it's about the two brothers trying to get back home. And when you're watching it, it seems like it's more in the heavy fantasy realm, or like a hint of regular show where they have humans, but they also got talking pumpkins. They have animals that understand human language. They have a frog boat. They have mud people. They have things that go bump in the night. And a talking horse and all sorts of things. So it's like, okay, this now exists, but you really aren't sure as it goes on. Is this stuff supposed to be normal?
Right.
Or is this like something unusual, like something unusual and they haven't seen it before? Or is this just part of the one you accepted? And you find out as you get further along into the series. And this was considered more of an October rather than November series because of its themes towards the end. Mm-hmm. Because with the background, the thing goes on in the background is that they're trying to get back home before a certain day. And as they're trying to get home, they're being followed by a creature called the Beast, whose voice, I think, believe by Keith David. Mm-hmm. And you don't know what he wants until it gets towards the end. And it's basically just them having little miniature adventures every episode, all the way up until, I believe, episode 9.
Oh, that's what you think it's about?
Right, I think. Yeah.
That's what you believe it's about. And you see that Wirt, the older one, right?
Yes.
He loves his brother, but they disagree on some things. And Greg kind of is this free spirit who keeps going off and doing his own thing.
Right.
And Wirt's trying to keep up with him to keep from losing him, mm-hmm. and to keep him from getting hurt. And Greg doesn't seem to understand that.
Right.
And he's younger, he's very trusting, so he trusts characters that shouldn't be trusted. And one character he does trust is a cat. It's a bird.
Right, we're thinking of something else, aren't we?
It's a bird.
Wrong show. That'd be Infinity Train. That'd be Infinity Train you're thinking about. Yes, a bird named Beatrice. And apparently she was turned into a bluebird, and her whole family of bluebirds because she threw a rock at one. Mm-hmm. That's a little odd, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a rock. It was a heavy one. So, and her attitude is like, you think she's gonna be stripper like Greg, and no, she's not. She really isn't. She's just like, I just want to get this done. Want to get home. I don't really want to deal with you people, but I got to until I'm turned back to human. And that's kind of her attitude the whole time. And she and Wirt kind of have this repertoire where it's kind of they're saying smart things to each other, and it's not like modern day, but you can tell it's not modern day even when they show you a flashback, but it's enough to where you know it's like an equivalent of saying get off my back.
And she gets along with George.
Yeah.
She gets along with Greg.
Yeah.
She gets along with him.
This is like, at first she's kind of put off by it, but it's like, you know what, at least he's trying to make progress, so she talks to him more.
Right.
And he also brings along this frog who has a different name every episode. He's called him Work Number 2, Johnny, Benjamin Franklin, George Washington, and it's like, can you just give this frog a name?
But he's just being the kid that he is.
Right.
So, as we mentioned, they encounter villains, and they have one in particular that you learn actually captures the souls of beings.
Right.
And they are trapped in lamps.
Yeah, it was called the wood. I think it was the woodcutter,
Right.
the woodsmith. Yeah.
So there's one character who the father is acting really strange, and he's really crazy about coming on the property and touching things.
Yeah.
And then, spoiler alert, you learn that the daughter is trapped in the lamp.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when the show really gets dark.
Yeah. And you really don't expect it. Like, you expect it's going to be a calmer show until it gets further in. And then you start to notice the theme that it is in autumn, and the whole thing seems to be taking place in autumn, hence why they put it in October or November. But as you're getting further to the end, it looks like they're getting close to getting home, it starts to become winter. And you're like, well, how long have they been out here in the woods? You really don't keep track of it. It seems like it's just each episode is almost one day. And it starts to turn to winter. It's like, well, they got to be getting home by now. It says they're almost there, but they're still in the woods. And then there comes to a point where Greg has a dream where it's like a shout out to an old Walt Disney cartoon. And by the end, it's like, okay, he can go home, but Wirt can't. And you don't know what it means until either you rewatch it or you get to the final episode and you realize they were going to be separated. And it becomes more of like they're in a middle place.
Right.
Between worlds or something. Because at like the 8th one, they end up having a flashback episode to what happened before they got lost. And we're thinking, okay, maybe they were following some kids because they said they were at a party, they got lost. It seemed like maybe they were out trick-or-treating or something, and then they got lost and they're trying to get back and they're really far away. But when you watch it, you notice they're in an older time period. It looks like they may be in the 80s. And then you see what happens at the end, and then you realize, as you said, this is not the show you thought it was.
No. And you realize that when you get to the episode after the one you're speaking of, and Greg wanders off, and he's trying to find him, and he can't find him, and he's about to get caught by the
beast.
The beast. And it's not that he's just going to take him like he's a kidnapper. He's going to take him, and he's going to be dead.
Yes, and you don't realize until the end, it's like they were close to losing their lives at the very end.
Yeah, both of them.
Because, like you said, it was autumn, and then it starts being colder, it starts being winter, and it's okay, well, if I go with him, can Wirt go back to our home? And he said, if that's what you want, then I'll do it. I'll be a deal. And Wirt is fine, but Greg, you can see, was getting worse. He was getting cold, and you could see what they were making PG versions of him just slowly passing, and it becomes like, this is getting real dark. Even by Cartoon Network, who let a lot of things slide and let Infinity Train get away with an on-screen taking someone out because they weren't human, they allowed it. This was pretty dark for them even before Infinity Train. So when it gets to that point, you're laughing at all the other stuff that comes before it. And another thing I want to mention after it about the animation, they kind of do these shout outs to older cartoons, like the Rubber Hose cartoons, the old Mickey Mouse cartoons, the Walt Disney shorts, the Merry Melodies.
Now too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's like whoever made this really loved those cartoons and made the entire show format around that. They even start singing songs that were, I guess you could say, the oldies now. And they were, these are songs from the 20s or like 1910s. Like they were really far back, and all the songs they were singing were like callbacks to those songs, or they were making them in the tune to that. So it was interesting to see someone do that, and it wasn't treated like, well, no kid's gonna get it. They just took it as is and then learned later on.
So this is not the lighthearted show you think it is.
Yeah.
So if you've never seen it, be prepared for the darkness. If you like the type of watching animated shows that start off kind of lighthearted and get dark, then this is perfect for you.
Right.
Elijah Wood voices work.
Right.
So he was the big star they had.
Right.
Keith David is another big star.
Right.
But
and Christopher Lloyd as
Yes.
the woodsman.
yes, definitely. So you've got some great voice acting talent here. Animation looks good. And the storyline is very strange.
Yes.
Especially once you get to the end and you realize what is happening.
Right.
And it does have an ending that's happy because they don't die.
Right.
But
That
when
is
you
true. That's the good part of it.
But when you realize what was happening and you're on that last episode and you're going, what did I just watch? Oh my gosh, I didn't know this is what this is about. This is really dark. I don't know if I like this. And you're really questioning everything that you've seen.
Right. And this, as you said, this has a cult following. This was considered one of Cartoon Network's best things because it wasn't a full-on series. It was a mini-series. So clearly they weren't planning to do another season or anything. They had some comics and you know they're having little dreams, but nothing's wrong with them. But for some, they may not want to see it a second time not knowing that ending. Or others saw it as something brilliant, a brilliant plot twist, and its atmosphere, and tackling serious subject matters, parroting things that kids might not know now, but once they research and get into animation, they'll know and have appreciation for it. It does have a charm to it up until the end. It is well written, because we were engaged when it first was on. We really wanted to see what happened, even though this wasn't the type of show we usually watch. It was a very well written show. It's just that you have to decide, how do you feel about this show at the end? Would you watch it again as an annual thing like everyone else for Halloween? Or do you just choose to watch it once and then not anymore?
Right. So if you have seen Over the Garden Wall, let us know what you think in the comments below. Do you like it, love it, hate it? We really want to hear what you think. If you haven't seen it, you might get lucky and it's on Cartoon Network this month.
Yeah.
If not, I'm not sure how you're going to see it.
Well, last year they were streaming it on YouTube for the whole day. We saw it live in one go again because we kind of had to rewatch it because it actually had been years since we had seen it the first time, so we really needed a refresher.
Right. So find it. It is definitely something we recommend you watch. Again, the ending, we don't know how it's going to fare for you, but it is definitely worth the watch to see this mini-series.
Yes.
And then come back and let us know what you think.
Right. And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates and weekly videos on your favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for your support. We really appreciate it.
Yes. And we thank you for each and every one of you for being our fans, our friends, our followers, and loving all of our videos. As we love your content, we think that you love our content.
And thank you on our journey to reach 1,000 subscribers. If you subscribed already, thank you so much. And if you haven't, click on the bell for notifications and give us a subscribe. And we're happy to do the same in return. Tell us the name of your channel. Better yet, leave a link. We'll check it out and subscribe as well.
Yes. So, with that, thank you so much for watching. I'm Rascal Entertainment.
And I'm Mom Entertainment.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.